Hello and welcome to the Energy Connect studio at the World Utilities Congress 2025. I'm delighted to have sitting next to me in the studio today Dr. Angela Wilkinson, the Secretary General of the World Energy Council. Thank you so much, Dr. Angela, for coming down to the Energy Connect studio.
It's a pleasure to be here at the World Utilities Congress.
To start off, looking at the overall energy sector, what are the opportunities and challenges that you foresee for the sector as it navigates energy transition?
Well, if I start back in February with the World Energy Issues Monitor, we surveyed over 3,000 energy leaders across the world and asked them what's keeping you awake at night, what's keeping you busy during the day, and what came out as the number one critical uncertainty was commodity prices. Perhaps not surprising given the current tariff flurry that we've seen across the world and how that has upset global supply chains and created market uncertainty. And then the action priorities, which I think are really relevant to this World Utilities Congress, are really about grids and transmission and the affordability questions. So those in February were the critical uncertainties and the action priorities.
And we are here, like you said, at the World Utilities Congress. What can energy leaders and utilities leaders learn from their counterparts from around the world?
Let's start off with a little bit of context, and that is we know that the current world energy system is 20% electrified, 80% still relies on fossil fuels. And the big expectation is that by 2050, we will have 50% of a much bigger energy system electrified. And we call this the electrification supercycle. And we're not just electrifying machines like electric vehicles, we're electrifying intelligence. And this is where the surge in demand, not just for developing economies, but for artificial intelligence, is coming to the fore. So utilities executives are not just responsible for the backbone for the old grid, they're really responsible for the backbone, the infrastructure for the next era of energy, this energy supercycle. So we have to think as utilities, not just in terms of rewiring grids, but rewiring trust.
It's an excellent point. And one of the factors and conversations that we often see is the sort of debate between energy security and pursuing a low carbon future. How can utilities strike a balance on that?
So utilities are essential for connecting the dots between supply and value and use, right? And I think that's a full spectrum of electrification. But utilities leaders also need to work with non-electrification parts of the system, right? So we've got to connect the dots between electrons and molecules. But while we're here at World Utilities Congress, let's think about how we can think about those connections across the full spectrum of different uses of electricity. Are we electrifying machines? Are we electrifying households? Are we electrifying industry? Are we electrifying artificial intelligence? All of those. And then how do we get the investment in the infrastructure to do that? And how do we develop the standards and the protocols to make the system trustworthy as well as transparent in its delivery? I think those are some of the conversations here today.
Yeah, and diving a little deeper into that, you've often spoken about collaborating at scale to make the transition successful. Why is it so important?
Well, the world energy system is much bigger than most people imagine it to be. And when people talk about their utility bills, right, we tend to think about the affordability of our utilities bill. It's actually usually about a seventh or a tenth at most of all the energy we use. So it's really important. Energy is the backbone of the future. So it's really important that the conversations we have today about designing a new, more electrified energy system include the perspectives of users and uses, not just the supply side challenges. And I think security now is moving beyond classic security into dynamic resilience, and that dynamic resilience includes demand as a resource, not just as a challenge. And so we're seeing smart grid developments, where your fridge becomes a battery for somebody else's household. These are very different ways of imagining electricity flowing to and from, not just in one direction. That's the future.
That's brilliantly put. Dr. Angela, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for coming down to the Energy Connect studio.
It's a pleasure to be here at the World Utilities Congress.
Thank you. Thanks for watching, and you can get more interviews like this and comprehensive coverage of the energy industry at energyconnects.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media, and I'll be back with more studio interviews from the World Utilities Congress. Stay tuned.